Mountain Entertainment will be holding their Once Upon a Princess event on July 19th. Joining us live in studio tonight to tell us more about the event is Dan Dunham and one of the princesses who will be at the event, Merida. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So Dan, I want to come to you first.
Absolutely.
Obviously, princesses. Who doesn't love that? It's going to be a great event. Tell us all about it.
So we are hosting our first princess event of the year. We are doing it at our venue in Pomeroy, 320 East Main Street. We are doing, it is Once Upon a Princess with the tagline of imagination is key.
Ooh.
So we are going to let the children's imagination run wild for the about 60 minutes that they will be with us. We have Merida making an appearance. We have Cinderella, the fairy godmother, Elsa, and Ariel. All four of them will be available, five including fairy godmother. We are doing two seatings. We're doing one at 3 o'clock and one at 5 to give people the opportunity, because I know that everybody's crazy busy Saturdays, so we wanted to open up different options for people. One a little bit closer to the afternoon, one a little bit later in the afternoon, early evening. We've got some games planned, we've got some crafts planned, we've got a little bit of food, so we're excited about it. Something a little bit different, and introducing Merida to our lineup of characters.
Absolutely, you guys have so many characters,
Yes.
You guys keep adding new ones. So Merida, I want to come to you. What are you most looking forward to about this event?
Seeing all the little wee children.
Yes.
Oh, yes. And doing a little bit of archery.
That sounds like it's going to be a good time then.
Not real arrows, because I mean, that's just scary. But yes, we've got a bunch of stuff planned. Merida's going to be responsible for our little, bullseye game that we've got planned. So everybody's going to have their one, and then photos at the end, photos throughout the entire thing. There is a price for it. It's $20, which is for one adult and one child, and then an additional $7 per child if they want to bring additional children.
Okay, perfect. And so Dan, I want to ask you too, why do you think it's important to bring an event like this to our community?
Children need to be able to embrace their imagination.
Right.
And have fun.
Play dress up.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's so much fun to dress up.
It really is. And it allows the little kids who may have the princess dress, come, get dressed up, have a fun afternoon, creating the memories. That's, our slogan for Wolfe Mountain is bringing magic home. So we want to create the magic and the memories for everybody, whether it be as they drive by the building, oh, we went to a haunted house there, or two, we met Merida there, we met Cinderella, all these different things that in 20, 30 years, these little kids will remember and see that.
It's going to be great memories.
Absolutely, and that's really what we're all about, is creating those memories and those moments for children of all ages.
And so Dan, I want to ask you too, for people looking to find more information in case they maybe missed the first couple minutes of this interview today, where can they find more information about the event? Whether it's admission, whether it's time starting, whether it's just anything.
Absolutely. So everything that we post is either on our Instagram, our Facebook, or our website, wolfemountain.com, WOLFE. I will say it every single time.
Don't forget the E.
You can actually purchase the tickets there under the store, or if you find us on Facebook, Wolfe Mountain Entertainment LLC, there will be links which will take you to the store. If you can't do the online thing, contact us. We can always do checks, we can do cash, we can pay day of, whatever works for anybody. There's so many options that I just set it up in the store, so that was the one local place, but we can do all sorts of stuff, whichever works for anybody.
Perfect. And one final question for both of you. Either you can answer this. Is there anything else you'd like to highlight about this event before I let you go? We got about 15 seconds.
As a matter of fact, I don't think I ever said the date. It's Saturday, July 19th, right?
Yes, July 19th. I said that.
Did you? Okay, thank you. I totally forgot about that one. So yes, it's about a week and a half away.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much to both of you. Merida, thank you so much for stopping by. And I love your dress. I love everything about it. You're looking perfect. So I think it's going to be a great time on July 19th, and you guys are going to have a blast.
Thank you.
Of course, when we return Mid-Ohio Valley, Jason will have one last look at your forecast. Stay with us.